Hello guys and gals, and welcome to a special rant time, I guess. Well, I guess all rant times are special. The series where we take a look at a problem in video gaming, a little thing you bring up into my eyes, and I talk about it, I guess. We discuss what's going on with it. Now, a lot of you have messaged me about the cut content for Metal Gear Solid 5, and I myself have personally, went inside and looked into it too, a whole lot as well, and why is this worth a video? Well, first of all, it shows that Konami still slipping, but it's also a pretty important thing because Metal Gear Solid 5 happens to be a pretty big game, and because it's a big game, it's setting up a pretty bad precedent, if it is to be true. Now, before we begin, let's go over the definition of what, cut content is. It's content that was originally in the game, originally a part of it, and then taken out and resold to somebody later. Now, again, we have no knowledge of this being sold to us later. Konami hasn't even announced that, but the idea of there being cut content is pretty alarming indeed. Now, what's going on with Metal Gear Solid 5? Well, Metal Gear Solid 5 happened to have a third chapter. Now, the reason people know this is because if you buy a collector's edition of the game, it comes with a Blu-ray disc showing you beta cutscenes or beta renders of a third act, basically a big major plot point that is to be addressed in the game. And it doesn't seem like that is a part of the main game at all. In fact, when you look into it further, data miners that played the PC version of the game found a title card that says Chapter 3 Peace. Anything beyond that has yet to really be discovered within game files. The reason there's a little bit of a hindrance is because people that mine data typically do it on the PC where it's very easy to do so, and they're not really able to do so via a PS4 version and Xbox One because of the encryption involved in it. So therefore that is the big issue behind it. Now, that being said, Metal Gear Solid 5 is alleged to have cut content. Now, before we continue into this, there are many games that have also done this and are also setting a precedent. One such game that I have always criticized is Destiny. For me at least, when I saw the E3 trailers for Destiny and started comparing them, I saw elements from the House of Wolves DLC already present in those trailers, but except it was probably just cut out and sold to you later on for a good, $10-15, later on, and that's basically what had happened. If this is in fact cut content, it's pretty bad, but there are reasons why such content exists. Again, a common programming practice, and I'll tell this from my programming days, if you initially develop something such as, Act 3 for Metal Gear, and it turns out it's not something that you want to make in the creative direction, or it's something that you don't want to end up developing because it wouldn't make sense, you actually end up leaving in code and assets because you don't want to fuck around with any of the other code as well. Remember, that is a big part about computer programming. Now, in the PC version of Phantom Pain, there has been 5 gigs that is reportedly missing compared to the console versions, and that could be a multitude of things. Maybe the PC could be a little more streamlined or whatnot. But there also seems to be some conspiracy behind this missing content. There is a whole subreddit dedicated to this. Basically, a lot of people are saying that it could be an unlock through some really weird cryptic way, similar to how PT handled it, which wouldn't be far out of the question, because I remember Kojima actually mentioning that the game was going to have this thing that was never done in video games before, and you could visit Camp Omega from the Ground Zeroes game, and a multitude of other things. So maybe this could be one giant unlock, but if it isn't, if it is not a giant unlock, and it is in fact cut content, then I blame both Kojima and Konami, because both of them, Kojima is not no innocent person in all this. I'm not going to kiss his ass just because I respect his game development. The man had a high position at Konami, so a lot of these microtransaction and decisions for Metal Gear Solid 5, he did in fact have a part in. Now again, he could have vetoed some things, he could have actually brought forth something, but he's not completely innocent in all of it. He had a high position at Konami, and therefore he is, in my opinion, as responsible as those other directors and, executives at Konami. He's not some, low-level, game developer. No, he's an executive. He's like Shigeru Miyamoto in the fucking Konami world. So, in that respect, I don't put him exempt from that rule. Now, I'm gonna be honest here. If this content is cut, and 2 months later, a month later down the line, Konami announces a epilogue DLC, right? I'm not going to support another game from this company, let alone buy another Metal Gear. Now, I know Konami says they're going to make Metal Gear 6. In fact, they've already started hiring people in Japan and the US. So, it's not like Metal Gear Solid 6 won't be a thing. Of course it's going to be a thing. Konami's going to make those fucking pachinko machines as well as the fucking main console games, because remember, if they're going to fucking bank on pachinkos, they got to have strong IPs. And Metal Gear Solid is one of them, so they got to keep making that shit. That is no exception. But if this turns out to be the case, I can't fucking buy another Metal Gear Solid game. Alright, and not because Kojima isn't behind it, no, because of the shitty practice involved. If Metal Gear Solid 5 cuts out a bit of content and sells it to you $10, $15 later down the line, that's fucking bullshit. That's the same thing EA did with Mass Effect 3. Remember From Ashes? Where they cut out, like, that fucking pivotal, like, story character? In fact, they cut out that character that I couldn't even fucking talk about because just the mention of it would be a spoiler. Yeah, that shit. They cut it out for, like, $10 and sold it to you later. Or I guess, if you bought it, what was it? I don't even think if you bought a special edition of it, like one that was $10 so you might as well have fucking bought that if you're gonna get the DLC anyways. But this is a dangerous precedent. Metal Gear Solid is a very story-heavy game. A lot of people bought that game for its single player. They didn't get it, They didn't get it because Metal Gear Online was a selling point. It is a selling point, but that's not a reason you get it. Same reason why I got Grand Theft Auto 5 for its single player versus the online. They were just bonuses. If you're gonna cut out an integral piece of the storyline, one that answers questions, that's a pretty big fucking thing, and you shouldn't be doing that. I don't care how much money you want to make. You did that with Ground Zeroes, and I don't support that. Ground Zeroes is basically the prologue chopped out of Phantom Pain and sold to you later. Now, did I buy into it? Yeah, I did, but I'm not going to fucking support a company further on. I'm not going to give you any more $60. $60, by the way, which is no small amount of money. I have to pay $80 because of, dollar differentials, but whatever, it's something. People in Australia and other parts of the world, India and shit, they got to pay more for your fucking game. Alright, they not only do they have to pay more for your game, but they got to wait longer. Okay, Amaru lives down in Argentina. He's got to wait a little longer for the game to fucking come because it's got to be imported and shit. And even then, they're more pricier than our counterparts. How do you feel fucking over consumers that way? People that have waited years for your game to come out, only to have that game slightly given to you but chopped out. Now again, Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, I love the game. It's a great game. I absolutely love it. In fact, I consider it a full game as far as everything all is considered. But if this content is cut out, that is bullshit, Konami. Alright? I made a video on you already, but I didn't think you guys could stoop this low where it's to take a heavy chunk of content out if it is the case of a single player game. I really hope it isn't. I hope in some ways this is either a cryptic unlock from Kojima, which if it is, it's still kind of a fucking dick move considering what PT fucking was. I didn't even fucking finish that shit because of that goddamn puzzle at the end. Or B, alright, if this was content that was initially developed, yeah sure, if you cut it out, I get it. Okay, but the fact that no one from the company is commenting on it is a little fucking bullshit to me. Either it's going to be sold to us later on, it's some cryptic ass unlock. I'm really hoping it's a cryptic ass unlock. I really hope so. Alright? But that being said, I don't know what to fucking think about this whole fucking thing. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 5, I'm a big fan of it, but I'm not going to exempt it from the rule, okay? Metal Gear Solid 5 will be no different than fucking Destiny or fucking any game that does this practice. Alright? You can't cut out chunks of games and sell it to us later. Alright, you can't basically give us episodes, alright? This is another reason why I don't really do the whole episodic gaming thing. You can't just, chop up a game storyline, a single player experience, sell one bit of it for $40 or $39 or $30, and then another bit for $60, and then have the audacity to sell us the epilogue for a game we've waited years for, a chapter 3. Which, if you've played Phantom Pain, you know it's gonna have, if you've seen those cutscenes, which aren't available on YouTube anymore because Konami fucking copyrighted that shit, you know that's a big part of the story. And if you're gonna think that you can sell that to people for $10 extra, that's fucking bullshit. I don't care how big of a fan you are for Metal Gear. I'm a big fan for Metal Gear. Please, if they announce this shit, do not buy it. Don't give in to the $10, $15 because who knows? If they get away with this on just Metal Gear Solid 5 and MGS6 comes by without any of Kojima's intervention, if there was any intervention on this kind of practice, then you can bet your ass it'll have microtransactions that could affect fucking part of the game. Like, for example, Metal Gear Solid 5, when you're building shit and it takes an hour and a half, they might as well fucking microtransaction that shit out too. Which I'm pretty sure was gonna happen in the initial game, but they fucking chopped it out because they were like, fuck, we're gonna get in shit. Or B, they're actually going to literally rip out chapters Which, if they sell this to us later, they've already done it with this game. And it's gonna fucking be proven. They're gonna do it anyways. Alright? I don't care if the budget's $80 million, okay? That's your fucking fault. It's your fault the budget is so astronomical. I didn't fucking point a gun at Konami's head saying, spend $80 million on a fucking game. Alright? You could easily have spent fucking less if you wanted to. Alright? It's not my responsibility to fit the bill for you. Okay? It's not my fault. Just like when a movie flops, it's not my fucking fault the movie flopped. Okay? I pay my fucking movie ticket, watch it, that's it. Same thing with video games. If your game costs that much to make, fix your shit, or B, deal with it. Because that's all you're fucking getting from me anymore, is $60. I've never went out and bought a limited edition of a game. I pay $60, game's not complete, I don't fucking buy from that company anymore. End of story. And I don't care how big Metal Gear is, it deserves the same fucking treatment. So, Konami, if you sell this DLC, or if this is even DLC, shame on you. Really. Fucking shame on you. Alright? Enjoy the pachinko route. But please, don't fuck over this franchise. And don't fuck over any other console franchise. In fact, any developer don't do that. Because people that end up supporting your game, if you're gonna fuck them over, that's just a dick thing to do. That being said, this is a rant time. And I know I get kind of heated in these a little bit, but, you know, it's fucking rant time. What do you expect? I would like to ask your thoughts on the situation. You know, what would you, you know, what is your exact thoughts on the Konami conspiracy with this third act? If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.